The question of Palestine keeps returning to our screens. But why? Well, it's an injustice and a denial of human rights that has persisted for over 100 years, with global implications. Here is a brief overview. After World War I, the League of Nations placed Palestine, formerly part of the Ottoman Empire, under a British administration that supported the creation of a Jewish national home there, a move that pleased Zionist leaders who considered it the ancient Jewish homeland. Amid increased immigration and foreign rule, Palestinians who had lived on the land for centuries staged an uprising from 1936 to 1939, which led to repression, including by British forces and Jewish militia. In 1947, the UN decided to partition Palestine into two independent states. Jerusalem was to be placed under UN administration. However, Israel declared independence in 1948 and captured much more of Palestine than the partition plan allocated, except for the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, held by Jordan, and the Gaza Strip, held by Egypt. More than half of the Palestinians were expelled from or fled their homes and ended up in refugee camps in the West Bank, Gaza, and neighboring countries. Palestinians refer to this as the Nakba, or catastrophe. They remain refugees to this day, mostly relying on the UN Palestine Refugee Agency, which was created specifically for this case. In the 1967 Six-Day War, fought between Israel and neighboring Arab states, an additional 500,000 Palestinians were forced to flee. Israel occupied Gaza and the West Bank and annexed East Jerusalem, including the Old City. In the years following, the UN General Assembly affirmed the rights of Palestinians to self-determination, sovereignty, independence, and refugee return. In 1974, it recognized the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, as the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. Palestinians revolted against the Israeli occupation in 1987, referred to as the First Intifada, or uprising. Intense diplomacy followed and led to the signing of the interim Oslo Accords between Israel and the PLO in the 1990s. Palestinians recognized Israel, and the Palestinian Authority was established to govern parts of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Further negotiations failed to resolve the remaining issues, as Israel expropriated Palestinian land and continued to transfer its population to illegal settlements in occupied Palestinian territory. During the Second Intifada in 2000, armed clashes and bomb attacks ensued. Israel built the West Bank separation wall, much of it inside Palestinian territory, seizing land and restricting freedom of movement. The International Court of Justice determined that the wall inside Palestinian territory was illegal. In 2005, Israel withdrew troops and settlers from Gaza. After an armed takeover by Hamas, Palestine's Islamic resistance movement, in 2007, Israel imposed a blockade on Gaza, which has caused a deepening humanitarian crisis, along with Palestinian resistance. Palestine became a UN non-member observer state in 2012, and a few years later, the Security Council demanded that Israel cease illegal settlement activity. However, settlements continue to expand. Despite broad international support for a two-state solution, it has not been possible to justly resolve core final status issues in accordance with UN resolutions. And that is why, until justice and international law prevail and Israel ends its occupation, we will continue to see the Palestinians struggle for their rights on our screens.